Okay, recording started. Olivia, how
Yeah.
are you? So nice to see you. Glad that you're here, willing to do this. Um, your name is on there, just Olivia. So we'll just leave it as Olivia.
Okay.
I mean, for your privacy's sake. And you want to share basically tonight um, your experience with predator child predator awareness, and you actually have experienced some things in life in your younger years that we talked about at length the other day, and what I want to do is just give you the platform here, kind of give you a small introduction, and then let you take it away from, if you would, basically talking about how you were aware as a very young child, but you were aware and you were uncomfortable in certain situations, and then you can expound upon this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. um, and if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 47.
47 years old, and you experienced and were very aware of the fact that you were being somewhat groomed, stalked, followed, uh, bothered by a man constantly, and and you survived that. And so, if you would, and I might once or twice just interject and say, "Can I just ask a question about something?" But if you would, please let everybody know why you're doing this, why you want to share this, and then go ahead with your story.
Okay. Well, I first want to say thank you for allowing me to have this platform to open up and talk about something that I have basically kept quiet about for over 20, 30 years.
Hmm.
Now I'm starting to come out about trafficking and child pedophilia awareness because it is the real virus. It is really what's happening right now on our planet. And it's continuing, unfortunately, happening every day in every country in the world. And I have been doing a lot of research in the last 3 years during the pandemic and have found a lot of really powerful information about this movement. And now I want to be a helpful voice and guide to those in this, this issue with this unfortunate situation that's happening to all of us and our children. And what happened to me was when I was about 9 years old, I was living in a military town, Virginia Beach, Virginia. My father was based in Virginia Beach, and he was away, and he was always away. And I was in Catholic private school. My mother decided to put me in private school. She thought I would get a better education than public. And I had to attend a bus stop all by myself because I was the only child in that particular area that was going to that school. And I just remember going there every day feeling very vulnerable that I was sitting there a very long time waiting for this bus because the bus had to pick up children from every neighborhood by myself. And I had never really had to experience anything like that in my childhood, except for that particular time in my life of being alone. And this man kept coming around and asking me my name, where I was going to school.
When
If
you
I,
say coming around, was he in a car? Was he
yeah,
walking?
was
Was he on a
in
bicycle?
he was in a red truck,
Okay.
uh, 4-door red truck. And I'll never forget it from the way it looked, from the way the man looked, and just how I felt just more vulnerable to engaging with him, and how I felt like I know my
You were
mother,
picking up vibrations from him.
like I was picking up that he didn't have any business talking to me. And he kept manipulating the situation by stating that he was, in fact, friends with my dad and that he knew that my dad was away. That's what really scared me. It is a vulnerable thing for a child of a military family, military parents, and these people prey upon that.
How do you think he knew this?
I think that he had been watching me a long time, simply because he just kept coming around. I started getting phone calls from him, and back in those days, I mean, it was the 80s. Everybody's address was on their mailbox. I think he had followed me home and knew where I lived.
And then
Um,
you had phone books in those days
yeah,
too,
he,
unless you had an unlisted number.
yeah, we did have a listed number under our last name, which was on our mailbox. And
Wow.
yeah, and that's, I think, how he found me, my phone number. And he called and he says, it's your friend Jim." I'm never gonna forget his name. His name was Jim. And he kept pursuing it and he wouldn't stop. And I got to the point where I was like, "Look, I don't know you. I'm not gonna get in the car with you." He promised me gifts. He tried to convince me to get in this car to go get ice cream, to go pick out toys. He had toys for me a couple occasions. He came back around. He knew I had a Barbie lunchbox, and then he bought
Wow.
me a Barbie.
He knew you had a Barbie. Oh, from the school bus stop
Yeah,
movie?
and then and he also gave me he offered to give me a My Little Pony, which also freaked me out because when I was a little girl, I had shelves all the way around my bedroom with My Little Ponies all the way around my bedroom. And one night I woke up really late at night and I felt there was a present in the room. I felt there was something in the room, and I looked up in the window and I saw a man standing in the window looking at me.
He was looking in your bedroom
Yeah.
window. He
And
was
yeah,
leering. Oh my.
yeah, he was peeping into my bedroom, and it had to be, really late at night. I mean, I woke my parents up. My dad was actually home at the time, and he ran out and chased him out, and then he ran through the fence, and my dad didn't get a chance to catch him, and then of course my dad had to go back out again. But
Did
it
you
was
ever mention that to your dad that this guy said that? Did you know it was him?
no, at the time
Oh,
didn't know it was him. That was way before things got intense with him coming back around more and more and more and more and more at that point. That was in the beginning. And I think that that's when he was really preying upon me and like stalking me and following me and watching me and like learning my schedule. You know what I mean? And then my dad went out for a med cruise. And when they go out on med cruises, anybody in the military knows it's a good 4 to 6 months. And my dad was gone. And then he definitely came around more and more to that bus stop after my dad left. Okay.
right.
And from what I remember, he came around one time. I'll never forget this. And he got too close to my side of the street where he had always been on the opposite side of the street. He never came on the same side where the bench was where I was sitting for the bus. And somehow he went down the wrong side of the street and came around so he could be on my side of the street. And as he was coming towards me, something in my head screams, "Run." Like it was just like it was screaming in my head, "Run." Like I could hear the voice of reason screaming,
Right.
"Run."
Right.
I took off completely.
Stranger danger.
Yeah. And I'm just glad I'm blessed with this intuition because now I use this to help other people. This cognitive ability that I have, just it's off the charts now. But as a child, I could feel things, I sense things, I knew things intuitively. And I definitely got an intuitive message from spirit that day telling me to run my butt off, basically. And I
Right.
ran between the two houses and I ran to a babysitter's house that I knew she'd be home. She was a retired elderly woman who took care of me sometimes.
So did you tell anybody? Did you tell your mother
I
about
told
this?
my mother I told my mother prior to this incident, like I told her that this guy keeps coming around, and my mother for a while was making sure that I didn't have to go to the bus stop alone, but things got out of hand with her job, and he cut it out for a while. I think it's because he could see that my mother had somebody follow me to the bus stop. It was a friend of my mom's in the neighborhood, So I had kind of supervision at that time. There was like I want to say like 3 weeks. I apologize for my memory. I mean, this was over 20 years ago.
Sure.
I was 9. So yeah. So it was like 2 or 3 weeks that he didn't come around at all. And I was grateful for that. And I think it was because my mom had her friend come in the morning and walk me to the bus stop. And I kept telling my mom, I told my bus driver, I told my teacher, um, and they all took it pretty seriously because I'll tell you why. And the story has a good ending. As I've told you, they had the police looking into it, into, into this person.
Right.
And they were providing private surveillance to the bus stop and watching me and knowing his actions. And that's how they were able to apprehend him, because he didn't stop. I think that he backed off for a while because he knew my mom's friend was walking me. And then a few days she couldn't take me, something about a work conflict. And then he came back around again. And when he did come back around, by the time I noticed it, I panicked and I almost started running. And the next thing you know, I've got black SUVs surrounding every perimeter from every corner on the block where my bus let me off. And I guess you can guess who those black SUVs were. Thank goodness. And
I
I
would
just,
assume
my heart
police.
racing. And then this beautiful woman gets out of the car in a black suit. She says, "Olivia, get in the car with us." And she grabbed my hand and she said, "We're going to take you to your mom." And I knew they were the police people.
Right.
And I remember them telling me, "Please don't look up." And as they drove by, I, of course, as a child, looked, even though the police told me not to. But they had him on the ground. I didn't get to see too much because they took off too fast.
Right. And
But there's a day that
so
went by in my childhood that I didn't.
what happened to him? What type? I mean, was he arrested?
Well,
Did they
yeah, of
do
course, he
a
was
search on
arrested and
him?
prosecuted, and he was served with several counts of child pedophilia, because that was his deal, unfortunately. And it took my parents 20 years to tell me the truth about what his motive was and what he had in his vehicle and what the police told my parents.
What did he have in his vehicle?
He had a VHS beta tape recorder, and he had sex paraphernalia and like lubricants and things like that.
Wow.
I know.
And so was he ultimately convicted of anything?
Yes. As far as I know, my parents kept that from me for a really long time. They just wanted to protect me, and they didn't want me to know why he was coming after me. My mom would always just tell me that he was sick in the head and that he didn't know what he was doing. When I'd
So
ask,
even at that age, when there's a predator after you, because now we're in the age where so many people are advocating for minor attracted persons, and that this is a normal thing. Um, if you see what I'm saying here, she didn't even tell you what this man was doing out of respect of your age, because you were too young for that. And now they're wanting to just open this up to kids that are 2 and 3 and 4 and 5-year old. They don't care, and these predators are 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 everywhere. And what do you think? You know, you are so blessed, and so what's the word? You were spared. You were enlightened.
yeah,
Why? But you are so few of the circumstances like that. What is your advice? I mean, what do you want to get out to people? What's the message that you want to send about these type of predators and what they can do?
I just don't want people to turn a blind eye and think that this doesn't happen. I mean, if it happened in the 80s, it obviously is happening now. There's way more devices that these predators can use to talk to your children. I mean,
Right.
I have cell phones. I didn't have laptops back in those days. I think it's even worse for parents now to ignore or pretend that this thing can't happen to their children. Um, I have 3 stepchildren now, so I'm quite the watchdog when we go out in public or what I see them chatting up online. And we have parental protection for our kids. But I just think that this happens to children every day, all over
All
the
day,
world.
every day, everywhere,
Every
in
day, every
every
minute.
situation,
Right.
playgrounds, parks, any place where children congregate, uh,
Yes,
anywhere, at any time.
totally.
Shopping centers. I don't know what kids do now for recreation and
Let me
stuff,
shut
but
this.
football
Yes.
games, high school football games,
Mhm.
just amusement parks, um, just all types of places and scenarios. School bus stops.
Yes.
They still monitor school bus stops, and anybody that walks to and from school. If children are walkers in neighborhoods, we got a pretty quiet. I mean, I have an elementary school right around the corner from me where I live right here, and there are kids walk. But this neighbor is, I mean, for the most part, most of their parents, if kids are walking to this school, the parents are going with them or there's somebody supervising them. But there's plenty of kids walking around here all the time, and you can't watch everybody.
No. I had to go through extensive therapy after that incident. And I have to say, I thank God that I was spared because I don't know if his intention were more than what my parents said they were. I mean, I don't know if he had intentions on selling me or trading me into pedophilia rings. I know how deep
Right.
this rabbit hole goes. I've done the research and I help with, human trafficking awareness, collective groups
Why
online
don't you
to create
share a little
awareness.
bit about some of those groups that you're with and what you're doing to be proactive in this?
Well, we all come together and we work with people who are victims and we help them create a safe space to tell their stories. And we also educate parents on, the scenarios that we were talking about and how to protect their kids. And I've also, with my cognitive intuitive abilities, I don't like to say psychic, I don't like that word. I have been able to help authorities kind of pinpoint with some of my, I call it, my ability to channel and see what I feel that the child is the location, license plate numbers I've been able to write down. It's unbelievable the things that I've been able
Do
to
you work with law enforcement?
I have, yes.
Okay.
And I have been able to really channel under deep meditation and write down license plate numbers, give full descriptions of the predator of the person who took the child. I have been able to give them the make and model of their vehicle. I have been able to tell them where the child is, what the child's wearing, what room the child's in, descriptions of toys are playing with. I have been able to help children in Western Australia, North America, and Canada. And I just feel like if God gave me this gift, I must have it for a reason. And
Absolutely.
and I just feel like a lot of people think this is pseudoscience. But if I'm able to do this and give the police real leads and give task force agencies real leads and give parents, it's more like I help the parents give real leads to help the police, then if I'm able to really provide, you know, real tangible, tips and proof of my abilities, I don't know what harm I'm doing. A lot of people think, oh, it's harmful to, use psychics or, seek out psychic mediums. But I've been able to do this since I was 9 years old. I was even told by a spirit in the room to look out the window and notice the man looking at me. So this goes back a long time with me in these gifts. And
Right.
I used to be really afraid of them, and I used to be scared because people shamed me for my gifts and told me it was baloney and it was fairy tales and it was fake. And
What about
now,
people? Do people tell you that it's satanic?
yes, that was another thing I hear sometimes, and it upsets me because if I'm able to help the police find kids and I'm helping people stay in alignment and improve their life, I don't know how Satan would want to play with that. I mean,
I have to
I'm
agree with
about
you
love
because
and light.
many people are brought up, with strict biblical references saying, uh, do not consult a medium, do not consult
Yeah.
a witch, and these voices or the things that are the spirits that are coming through are demonic. And
Hmm.
it's like, I don't understand why demonic forces tell you to do good things.
Exactly.
Um,
And
so
create awareness to the parents. Some of my sessions, the parents have seeked me out because they believe that their child is being molested or sexually abused and accosted by someone they know. And 95% of the time, the parents are right in trusting that inner knowing, that gut conscious, message that they're trying to get. And then they contact me to give them full clarity on it. I've put a lot of sexual predators behind bars with people seeking me out for these sessions. And I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop helping parents all over the world put their child's predators behind bars. Because I feel like if I was spared, I wasn't given this gift by mistake. I don't believe anything is a mistake. I think everything happens for a reason.
and you're in the Midwest. Where are
I'm in
you?
Chicago now.
Chicago, Illinois, Chi-Town.
Yes, it's pretty crazy here right now.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Do you have any type of like an email? I should have asked you this before,
Yes,
or a
they like to
website
call
that.
me Oracle Pink. And the reason why they call me Oracle is, as you know, an Oracle is a seer. It's an intuitive messenger. It's like a psychic. And pink because pink has been my signature color of all my salons. I'm in the beauty business. I've been in the beauty business for 23 years as well. And I'm an aesthetic esthetician. And so all my salons were pink, and my clients were coming.
What does an esthetician do for those of us who really, uh,
Oh, waxing.
inquiring minds would like to know what an esthetician
We
really
do
does?
waxing, facials, makeup, brows. I do a lot of eyelash extensions, body contour sculpting.
Hmm.
I've worked for doctors where they've done hair, or have done laser hair removals, that kind of thing.
I see. So kind of like enhancements in
Yeah.
landscaping, but it's for
Yes.
your body. I got you.
Yes. I've worked in
Okay.
a lot of salons, and I've owned 2 salons of my own, and I'm kind of breaking out of that because I'm getting more and more busy every day with my spiritual, intuitive counseling and healing.
If somebody wants to get in touch with you,
Oh, I'm
uh,
sorry, oraclepink@aol.com. I forgot to say it out loud.
oraclepink at
oraclepink@aol.com.
AOL.com. Let me see if I can put that in comments.
Okay.
I can't do anything because I don't have a keyboard and I can't click on anything, because
Do you want me to put it in the chat?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. If you can, just put it in there, put your email down. And do you have a website or anything
My
else?
website is down because my designer wants me to start doing videos like this and put it up on my page. And I do go live on Facebook and TikTok. And so my
Okay.
new web designer wants to take a lot of my old videos where I've called up guests and given live readings on, my live stream on Facebook, and he wants to take clips from that. So my website's under construction, but I should have it up and ready no later than June. I'm hoping and crossing my fingers we'll get it done sooner.
So would you do me a favor then, Olivia, and type in your email and your website, and people can just keep checking back.
Okay, it's www.oraclepink.com. And I'm Oracle Pink on Medium and Tarot on Facebook
Are you
and
typing it
TikTok.
in? Are you
What's that?
typing it in? I wanted
Yes,
you to
I'm
type it
typing it
in your
in
chat.
I'm typing it in the chat for you.
Okay.
So there it is. It's oraclepink@aol.com and
Why can't
Oracle
I
Pink.
see it?
Okay. You don't see it?
No.
Huh.
My banners, one banner brand. I've got it to where I'm supposed to be able to see chat.
I see it in the comments, but that's on my end, so I don't know.
I can't see any comments, and I'm supposed to have like the master comments and everything. Let me see here. No, I don't want to do that. No. Add overlay loop, countdown, add video.
They could also go, if they Google Oracle Pink
Oracle
Chicago, I'll pop up. Trust me, I have a
Okay.
Google page, and my Google page has my my phone number, my email, my website, you name it. And I have a lot of like content and videos and stuff on there. I have one video on YouTube. I need to redo
Oh,
my
I'll
whole
tell you
YouTube.
why. You know why you're seeing it?
What?
Because it's in our private chat.
Oh,
It's not.
okay.
I want to chat with everyone in the studio.
Oh, okay.
So,
Let me plug this in.
Done. Oracle Pink.
I'm at AOL.com, and then I should have www.oraclepink.com back up, hopefully. He's redoing both of them, so I'm doing that and my salon website. So it's just been a mess. I've been relying on Google to help my business because I have 2 Google pages. And then just me going live on Facebook and Instagram and
Right. So let me see. Did that come through? Didn't come through yet. Hold on.
Oh, yes. You got it.
Okay. So that's your Oracle Pink is the email, and then www.oraclepink.com. I don't think if I can copy that. Copy. Select all. No. There we go. Try this. Now, I can't.
Uh-oh.
What's the matter?
Okay, I thought your mic went off.
No, it was just, let me try this. There we go. Did it go? Did it go out there?
Yep.
Okay, good. So one is your email, oraclepink@aol.com, and the other one is your website, which is under construction right now. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
This is like, I'm just like re-navigating everything here. And what's your TikTok? Oracle Pink?
Oracle Pink. I
Just
believe
Oracle Pink on at Oracle Pink on TikTok?
I believe so. At Oracle Pink Medium and Tarot, I believe it should be. Because I'll do like live tarot on that a bit more because it's more young kids on there. So I want to be able to create a platform and a podcast just based on trafficking awareness. And
Yeah.
I like to call it Let's Bring Them Home, and work with parents who are, in a lot of pain because their kid is still missing. And maybe even help people who are victims of trafficking like I do now on these platforms.
Right. So, Did you want to mention anything about your other instances with the family member, or did you not want to bring that up?
No, I can.
I
Because I
mean,
feel
it's
like, Kathy, if I'm going to
entirely
tell
up
you,
to
I
you.
tell you. So things got a little better for me after I almost got abducted. But then my parents divorced and my mother remarried. And there was no issues with my stepfather. A little physical abuse to me and my sisters, but with his alcoholism. But luckily, knock on wood, there was no sexual.
He was
Um,
just like a little rough with you, like,
yeah. And
okay.
my mother divorced him later down the road, and I was about 14 going on 15. No, I'm sorry, I was 13 going on 14 when they divorced. And my mother told me we had to go live in Missouri because my grandfather unfortunately was dying of stomach cancer. And I had to leave and all my friends and everything in Virginia Beach. And we went to a small town in Missouri where I didn't know anybody. And then me and my mother stopped communicating altogether after my grandfather died. And then she started to physically abuse me.
What
She
do you
didn't
think
have a
happened
drink.
there?
Pardon?
What do you think happened there? What caused
I
that?
think she didn't have an alcohol problem. I think my mother just went into like a form of depression after my grandfather died, and she took a lot of her anger out on me. My mother, even though she's never been diagnosed because she doesn't think she has a problem, but I believe from a lot of the study that I have done in psychology that my mother is in fact a malignant narcissist.
Mm.
And she just took a
Wow. A narcissist is bad enough. A
yeah,
malignant narcissist?
yes.
I mean, that's like the nth degree.
Yeah.
That's like it to me. I don't know what a malignant I mean, I've
Believe
been watching a lot of things on narcissism
yeah,
and narcissist, but a malignant narcissist. What?
she has no empathy at all, and she didn't care that I was expressing to her that I was having issues with my grandfather dying as well. So then the abuse got worse and worse. And then finally, I went to school one day and I was called to the nurse's office during class. And when I went to the nurse's office, the principal was in the office with the nurse and said, "We see the bruises and they're bad. And we think something's going on at home because your grades are slipping and you are just showing a lot of the signs and behaviors of children who are having issues at home. We've been doing this a long time. We're educators and you can talk to us. We'll help you." And I told my principal and my nurse everything. And then they called my mother and then cops came to the house and they told me I had 5 minutes to pack my things.
And how old were you at this
13.
at this time?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was like 13 or 14 at that time.
And they took you away from your mother. They
They
put you in
took me away
foster care?
because she turned herself in. She admitted, they told her that it would be nice if she would just admit that she was hitting me to save jail time. They said, if you admit it, we'll get you help. We'll put live in foster home.
Oh no. To me, that's even worse. I mean,
Yeah,
taking you out of your home with your mother, although I don't know, because DSS and social services and foster care and
a lot of
child
trafficking.
protective services
Yeah.
are big trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you not
See
get
how I dodged
trafficked in
one,
there?
Kathy? See how I
Uh,
dodged one more?
yes.
Okay. So I didn't go into a foster home right away. I went into a group home, which was 10 times worse. And I was in a group home with mentally health challenged kids who threatened to kill themselves and the staffers. And I saw one kid get pulled into a room with they almost had to put him in restraints. They had to pull his arm back and they had to put zip ties on him because he was like punching every counselor in the room.
And what were you thinking right about
Why am
now
I here?
in
I
your
was like,
life?
why am I here? I was so shocked that I had to be put in group home. My social worker, I remember her name to this day. Her name was Tiffany. She told me that she was just going to put me in there until they could find me a nice foster home. And it was just an in between stage. And I wouldn't be in there very long because I didn't need to be in there because those kids were unfortunately mentally challenged. And you wonder how these kids get to that level. And I
Yes.
talked to the kids in there and they were all sexually abused by their parents. And I mean, the stories that they told me were pretty heinous. Okay.
And how
And
long were you there then? Because she said you didn't have to stay a
I was
long
there
time.
like a month.
That's a long time.
Yeah, from what I remember, I was there about a month and everyone was really nice to me. The counselors were nice to me. Some of the girls were kind of mean to me, and the counselor said, "Don't take that personal. They're just jealous of you. They're just those mean type of girls, you know, like they're just mean girls. They hate on everybody." And so I was just like, well, I know I'm not going to be here much longer. So as long as they don't beat me up, I don't care. And they never did. And I finally got out of there. And then they put me in a few other foster homes that just weren't good fits for me because they were waiting on babies. They
Right.
do that a
And
lot.
you were a
They're
you were
waiting
a
for babies to adopt. They're foster homes.
adolescent. Yeah.
Yeah, they were nice people, don't get me wrong. They
Right.
were nice people. They just basically told me to my face, "It's nothing personal, but we're agreeing to foster so we can get our adoption process to go through faster with the state. If we
Right.
can put in foster hours, then the state allows us to adopt a newborn quicker."
Oh, that's another
That's
that's
something that
another
always seemed fishy to me too. Not
that's
that the
fishy. That's
parents,
very fishy. And it may worked out for you, and it does work out for some people, but not
yeah,
many.
no. I didn't sense anything weird about the parents, but you never know.
Right.
But none of the parents made me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
One home that I was in Nixa, Missouri, they had a young daughter, biological daughter, and they were trying to adopt a baby because they were older, and they actually had her late in life. They were lucky to be able to have her there, and she was a sweet girl. She was like 6 or 7, and we played video games and stuff together. And
Right.
then they finally put me on a farm, and I loved my foster parents on the farm. And then my father came out of nowhere. Here we go with this story. And they found him after
So
all
so
these.
you never got back with your mother. What happened to your mother?
No, they told me to go to court. I went to counseling with my mom all that time. But the state of Missouri decided that she wasn't in fact fit to have me back. Basically, the judge told my mother that they felt like there was too many issues with her with my younger sister. It's like there was starting to have some concern about the way she was treating my younger sister, that because my younger sister was missing school or she was absent too much, that they were like, we just don't think that you're ready to get live back.
Right.
And then my younger sister went with her dad, my stepfather. So he found out I was in foster care, and then he took my mom to court, my stepdad, to get custody of my half sister, Emily. And then that didn't make my mom look good for the courts. And so
Right.
they
So
told,
so they divorced then, or they
oh, they were
separated?
already divorced. But
So
my mom was raising his daughter, my stepdad, and
so
he
she
was
divorced your father. Your
she
father,
divorced my father a long time ago. She
and then
divorced
divorced
my
this guy
father.
too. Okay.
Yeah, she that was my stepfather, and they got married when I was like maybe 2 years after the crazy incident with the predator in the red vehicle. But once my stepfather and my mother divorced, that's when we moved to Missouri to take care of my grandpa. And I just remember that my mom was telling me that she didn't think that she was capable of raising me anyway. She said that she needed a lot of therapy.
So how is your mother present day?
I don't talk to my mother now.
You don't when was the last time you spoken to
Uh,
your mother?
I haven't spoken to my mother And probably like it's not too bad. I haven't spoken to her in probably like 6 or 7 months.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
speak to my mother because my mother makes me feel bad about myself, and my mother says some really ignorant things about what I do. She says that what I do is pseudoscience and it's fairy tales. She doesn't want to believe that I actually help people. And she's a psych nurse, so she has a hard time believing that I have psychic medium abilities, but she's known I've had it my whole life. She just chooses to pretend that I
I
don't have these abilities and that I'm not able to channel spirit.
so even though you haven't seen her, you still do have a somewhat of a relationship with her,
Yeah,
but maybe it's strained and stretched.
I told her recently that if anything ever happens to you, you know that you can call me. That I'm not disowning you.
Right.
My older sister doesn't talk to her.
You're
My
just
younger sister does.
distancing yourself from her.
Yeah, I feel like from all the extensive research that I've done in the DMS-5 with narcissism, it's best to keep them at a very short leash. Keep
Mm.
them on, so to speak. And
So then you said your father came back into
my
the
father
picture.
came back to the courts. I don't want to get off topic.
But
And
yeah, he was gone for how long out of your life?
11, maybe 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was shocked that he came back because at that point I was like, I would rather stay in foster care on the farm with my foster parents, even though at the time, I don't know if I mentioned this, it's just now occurring to me. They did have a farmhand that was saying some inappropriate things to me about how I was developing kind of quick. I was 15 at that time. And it made me feel really uncomfortable that he
Oh,
was saying things about my breasts.
yeah.
And I said something to my foster parents, and they got really upset with him. And he wasn't on the farm after that. Like he didn't
They
work there.
removed him?
I don't think so. I don't They said they didn't arrest him. They said that they terminated him.
But what I'm saying, they removed him
Yes.
from the
Because
property. In other
they knew,
words, fired him or got just made him go away.
yes, they
Well,
said
that's
that they
good.
weren't going to allow that to happen to me in any capacity again. I've been through too much with my mother and, almost being abducted at 9, and that my foster parents were amazing people and they were God-fearing Christians, and they just wanted the best for me. And when I go back to Missouri, I do put flowers on their grave. I try to. But I believe that we can talk to spirit at any time. We can talk to people who have crossed over at any time. They can
Right.
hear us. But I feel like it's a nice thing to do. And they did so much for me. They
Mhm.
did help me get to a better therapist as well. And I still stayed in therapy the entire time I was there on the farm. I learned so much about responsibility, and working on a farm is really hard. But I'm glad that I had that experience.
Were there
My
was it
father came
a
back
just
out
a
of
vet?
nowhere.
Was it a growing farm like vegetables, plants, or did you have animals as
It
well?
was a milk farm. It was for milk. It we
Dairy
had
farm.
Yes, we had cows that provided the pasteurized milk for many different companies that would come, and they didn't have that much livestock. We had horses, and I like to
Right.
ride horses, and they had four-wheelers and a lot of acres of land. Beautiful place.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So you're there and you're happy.
I'm
You're happy
happy,
on the farm.
and I was about to turn 15 when my father came out of nowhere, and we had a court hearing, and my foster parents pulled me aside and said, "We would adopt you if we could, but since the state of Missouri found your dad after all these years, we have no say. We have no say, Liv. We have no say." And I cried, and I remember him coming into the courtroom, and I'm like looking at him and his new wife, and I'm thinking, wow, he looks a lot different, but do I really know who he is? So the judge said, I think a visitation is mandated before we sign over full custody back to your dad and take you out of the system. Because remember, with the Department of Family Services, they want to pull these kids out of the system as quickly as possible because they don't want to pay for it. They don't have that. They claim they don't have the money, of course. But my foster parents told me they provided a lot of things for me without their money. You know what I mean? They
Right.
provided a lot of things for me with their own money. Excuse me.
Right.
They only give them so much money, and it is as who they were as people. I don't really think they fostered to, make money.
They
It wasn't
fostered
about
to
that
give
with them.
somebody a nice home.
Yeah, I wasn't the only foster home. I mean, the only child that was in their foster home. They only took one kid at a time because they only had one room, but they had several other kids they helped before me. And they said I was their first girl. And I just remembered that my foster parents were really broken up because they knew that they wanted to adopt me. And I think that they knew that I wanted them to adopt me too. And when my father came to visit me, I remember flying out to Virginia Beach again, and he took me to see all my old friends and, to get me excited about coming back.
Right.
And everything was great. I went out on his boat. I got to know his new wife. She was really nice. She was high rank military as well. He was retired from the military at the time and working in logistics. And everything was perfect. And then when I went and lived with him, within a year, my stepmother went out to sea. And we know that's 6 months.
Right.
And I was going on 16 at that time. And my father started saying things to me that I knew, even knowing as a child when I was sexually victimized and feeling, this gross feeling coming over me that I was being exploited sexually. You think at 16 that I don't realize that my father is sexually grooming, exploiting me, the things that he was saying to me, and just making me feel really uncomfortable. And then here's my stepmom gone, and I'm alone with him.
And can you give a for instance or an example of things that he would
like? He would say that that I had a beautiful body, and then I had beautiful breasts, and that someday you could be in Playboy, and that if you
What?
wanted, yeah.
Your father said this to you? What father says to his daughter, you could be in Playboy?
Sick,
Okay.
demented pedophile fathers. I mean, I go back and I try to block, Kathy, I try to block out a lot of things that I remember him saying. And I went into extensive therapy after I left him. But I remember he would always like come into my room at night and try to rub my back and put his hand under my shirt, my night shirt that I'd be sleeping in, and then coming too far on the graze at the sides of my left of my breast or the right of my breast. And I just felt really uncomfortable. He would start to ask me when I was turning 17 if I was sexually active with my boyfriend. He would ask me if I performed fellatio on my boyfriend, oral sex. And I told him I felt uncomfortable talking about it because at that time I was experimenting with a boyfriend that I had. Most kids that age start experimenting sexually. And I told him the truth, and he masturbated in front of me. And he told me I had to watch. And I have to say that I didn't dodge a bullet on. I didn't get to dodge a bullet on that one. I didn't.
I'm so sorry. That's just.
And I told him that I was going to go away. I was going to go off to a school called Job Corps because a friend of mine was going, because I had a friend in high school who was being disowned by his parents because he came out as a homosexual. And I told him that I was going to go with him. And he said, fine, just go. Because I told him that when his wife came back, that I was going to tell her everything. And I was going to tell her about how I knew he was cheating on her. Because I knew. I knew
Wow.
too much that was going on with him. He also was stealing money from me from the job that I made that summer, and he lied to me and said that somebody broke in and stole the money and stole his camcorder. He told me he wanted to get me into modeling. This is another form of pedophilia grooming.
Yes.
I was just watching a movie where they showed her mother trying to get her into modeling, and then it looked pornographic, the type of modeling that she wanted her daughter to get
Right.
into. That's what my father was doing to me. He was like, "Oh, you need to model for me in your bra and panties, and I can get you in a JCPenney catalog or Sears catalog for teenage sport wear or lingerie." And he even said, your pictures could be, Victoria's Secrets. And he did everything to groom me into believing that this was normal, that this was allowed by my own dad, who I had not known my whole life.
Wow.
And then I
So
did get away. I went to Job
how
Corps.
did you get away?
I
What
told my mom
strategy?
what was going on, and this is
But
why
what
I
did
know
she
she's a believer.
say? Because your
She
mom's
didn't
like out of it.
she didn't believe
Of
me.
course she didn't. Okay.
She told me that I was a drama queen and that I was making it up to get attention.
Don't you love that? I hate it when people say that these people like yourself who are victims of abusers, they're making it up. And that I'm like, that just infuriates me. Why would you make this up? For what kind of attention could you possibly want? I,
I don't
I
know. She told
uh
me, if you tell, what's going to happen. I said, what's going to happen? They're going to put you in foster care again. And I was like, but I'm almost 18. Who cares?
right,
And my
right.
mom's like, they're not going to want to put you back in the system at 17 and a half. And she said, I can't take you because I live with a roommate now. And so I went off to Job Corps with my friend Cornelius. And I remember like it was yesterday, my mom came to help me pick up all my clothes and all my things. And he tried to say something to me, and I didn't say anything to him.
You're
And my
talking
mom
about
was,
your father now.
yeah. And
Okay.
my mom was like, she's not ready to talk to you. And I remember looking back as we drove away, and he was still standing in the driveway. And I knew I would never see him again. And I was right.
And you've never seen him again, and you never had contact
I
with
never
him.
had to see him again. I never chose to see him again. And
Right.
I
But
never
has he
wanted
tried
to
to
see him
contact
again.
you?
No.
So
I talk to my stepmom now, but I never told my stepmom what he did.
you
I
never
didn't want to
did.
hurt her. She's not married to him anymore, thank God. She left him in 2001.
Wow.
He's deceased now, as far as I know.
Wow. Wow. And so I'm sorry that you went through
I
this. I'm
know
so
it's
glad that you're sharing it because there's other people out there. There's literally hundreds of thousands of people like yourself, men, women. It happens to little boys. It happens to
it
little
has to
girls.
every child, every
It
walk of
happens.
life. It
And
happens.
nobody wants to believe them. And it's so sad. And it's it's shameful.
Yeah.
People ought to be ashamed of themselves for not believing children with these stories. They can't. That's why. I mean, it's like, I believe them. I'm sorry, but I believe them. What's the matter with you? They need our help.
I feel as if the people that choose to turn a blind eye to child pedophilia and child trafficking are
Right.
worse than the actual predators themselves.
I agree.
And that's my final message to everybody, because like I said, I'm sorry, I have to get to work by
I got
5:30.
you. I got you.
And I'm like, I knew I was gonna cry, and I told myself I wasn't gonna cry, but
It's
I haven't
okay.
really been able, I apologize, I haven't been able to
Oh,
really fully tell this story other than to maybe a few therapists and then yourself and then your audience today. So
thank you.
every time I tell it, I cry. Every single
And
time.
why wouldn't you? It's horrible. It's horrific. And
I
and
don't
it
know.
happened to you and it's real.
And that's why I
And
tell
we need,
people
and
that,
people like yourself need to be honored. You need to honor that this happened. You have to accept it. You have to accept that this happened, and and honor your experience.
yes, I
And
feel as if there's so many children out there from the case studies that I've looked at and the research that I've done about child pedophilia and child trafficking. My story is nothing compared to the heinous things that they do to these kids out there,
I know,
and the satanic cult rings, and this
I
stuff
know,
is real.
I know.
I have
Satanic
talked to
ritual abuse.
victims who have
And
been in satanic ritual cult
yes,
practices
I have
with,
a very dear friend. She's a dear friend now. I interviewed her almost, well, it's been over 2 years ago, but she was in a satanic cult for she was trafficked from the time she was 2 years old
oh my
until
gosh.
she was 37 or 38.
Oh
She
my
was
God.
trafficked for all that time. She had 18 children. They bred her to sacrifice her children.
Mm.
She's doing wonderfully now. She had amazing get escape from that, and it's just nothing but God. But the things that happen to these people, and they're like, they're making it up. She's lying. That doesn't happen. And I'm like, what part of you can't be a human being enough and empathize for these people that go through this, and to dishonor them by saying that it was not true or that it's a lie? How dare you? How dare you? And these people,
A
they're
lot
going
of these
to be
people
accountable at some point.
cover it up to protect these people, I feel. And I feel like everybody has some kind of handle in it in the government departments, and
Absolutely.
they all have their little hands in it. They're all getting their hands greased from the profits of human trafficking. Human
Absolutely.
trafficking, unfortunately, is the highest profited commodity in the world.
That's what I
These
keep
kids
telling everybody.
are
Thank
more
you.
than any drug cartel.
Yep. Thank you. That's what I keep saying. And people are like, yeah, whatever. It's better, or it's more profitable than big pharma. It's than all the high tech industries, than drugs. It's number one, and that's what it's all about. That's the pandemic.
And it's getting better, but it has to stop. And I've talked to military officials that have been underground rescuing children all over the world, and they tell me that they're not going to stop until this is over. And they're sealing the tunnels, and we have more surveillance. From what I heard, a little rumor, we might be getting some money with a microchip in it so they can't keep buying kids. I
Oh,
pray that happens. And we just
something.
all have to come together and understand that this is
I know
this.
that I won't stop until it is
Yeah.
finished. I won't stop until, I won't stop, and I'll breathe my last breath fighting, against,
We need more people like you, Kathy. I
and
mean,
more
we need more
people.
people that understand that this destroys children's souls and spirits. A lot of
Absolutely.
children have unalived themselves from this.
Hmm. Yes, I know.
Oh,
And
shoot. It's almost 5. I had to wrap it
oh,
up by 5. But I
well,
appreciate you bringing me on. If you want to bring me on for a part 2 or something later, you can. And I'm here. And I'd like to.
maybe I'll tell you what I'd like to do next time. I'd actually like to do a live next time,
Okay.
and we could have some audience reaction. And
Okay. Yeah.
but I didn't want any. I wanted you. It was already like distracting enough, just me and you, like going off topic a little bit here and there, and when people are asking questions, but now they've got your story. Uh, they can watch this, and then they can get questions ready for
Yeah.
a potential live.
Totally.
Sound good to you?
That means a lot that you've come and reached out to me and allowed me to tell my story, a story that I haven't told publicly ever, let alone have said it out loud in probably close to 26 years.
And if you really want to know the truth, I believe that dark forces really tried to prohibit this program from being done today.
Yeah, they don't want us talking. Child
I
pedophilia
mean,
and child trafficking is the most censored topic on the internet,
I know.
and it has been from day one.
Nobody, it's the things they tell you about yourself, and you know how you're a liar and you're a conspiracy theorist, and that
Oh,
people don't
that one.
do
I
those.
hate that one. That's a
That's my
term that
favorite.
was keyed by the CIA, and the
Yeah,
CIA is the one that
absolutely.
controls it all.
All right,
They're the ones
Olivia,
that
you've
run
been
it all.
so gracious with your time, and I know you're
Thank
in a
you.
hurry. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. God bless you, and I will see you soon. And have a wonderful evening. And don't stop fighting, and I won't stop fighting either.
You
Okay.
got it.
All
Thank you,
right.
Kathy.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
You too.